Hey everyone, my name is Steve, and I'm the founder of MoneyJoy, which provides personal financial coaching to individuals struggling with how to handle their money. Today, I'm going to provide a quick lesson on budgeting, which I've taken from a personal financial management course I created called Dollars and Diligence. And specifically, I'm going to talk about one, why it's important to have a budget, two, how to create one, and three, maybe most importantly, how to stick to one. Um, so, diving right in, why do we care? Why do we want a budget? Why is it important? I think there are two main points here. The first is the foundation of your personal finance plan. Anyone who wants to take their money seriously, anybody who wants to start to manage their money wisely, this is where you start. This is your foundation, and serves as a roadmap on where you're going and how you're going to get there. The second one is, I think, budgeting has a bad rep. I think when people think of a budget, they think, okay, I can't have any fun anymore. I think of it a little differently in that it's not meant to remove fun. Really, it's meant to give you a sense of control. I think when you know exactly how much is coming in, exactly how much you can spend, exactly where you can spend it, and what your limitations are, I think that's empowering. Um, you might not believe me yet, but give it a shot, and I think you'll find that. Now, there are a number of budget recommendations out there. They generally follow this formula, this ratio, where it is X percent towards your needs, X percent towards your savings, X percent towards your wants. Needs being your housing, utilities, groceries, transportation. Later on, I refer to those as your four fundamentals. Um, and one variation I've seen is the 70-10-20. That's 70% towards your needs. You don't spend more than 70% on your needs, those four fundamentals. Then 10% towards your savings and 20% towards your wants. I've seen also these ratios thrown out: 60-10-30, kind of like the one before, 50-20-20-10, and 40-30-20-10. And I think those last numbers representing charitable contributions. Um, the one I recommend, though, and I think it's probably most common, is simply 50-20-30, 50% going towards needs, 20% towards savings, 30% towards wants. I choose this one because I think it's probably the easiest to follow. If any of those other ones work for you, absolutely nothing wrong with that. We're looking for the one that is most sustainable, I think. Now, within that 50-20-30, there are two versions. Um, One is if you have debt, if you have consumer debt, if you have medical debt, personal debt, that kind of thing. Right now, I'm not including whether you have school loans or whether you have a mortgage. Right now, I'm just thinking of if you have consumer debt. The other version is simply if you do not have debt. I think you approach this budget differently based on those two scenarios, and I'm going to walk through both those as we go forward. But first, just a couple basics on budgeting. One is that I highly recommend you use an app or something online to track your budget. For me, this made it much more sustainable. This actually kept me doing it. Um, so do it online. Those of you that are tracking your spreadsheet and still going strong, kudos, bravo. I'm impressed. For me, I need an app that's on my phone or online. Um, Number two, I've heard this from Dave Ramsey. He says that when you do a budget, you will find new money. I have found that to be true. You'll realize what that means is that you'll realize you were spending so much money on this thing or that thing, you didn't realize it. It doesn't bring you that much joy, or it doesn't have much of a need, and so you realize you don't need to spend money on those things. Um, One thing also is that give it time, give it 3 months, give it 4 months before you're comfortable. You will not be good at this your first few months, and that's okay. Nobody is. It takes a while before you're good at this, and highly encourage you to not give up before then, because I think it will be worth it. Lastly, this is zero-based budget. What I mean by this is that all your money coming in, your income, your revenue, whatever it is, every single dollar you will earmark towards some budget item. You will want to tally up everything that you have earmarked in a budget item, and that should equal the exact number of what you have coming in. But I'll talk a little more about that as we go on. Now, I see that my face is covering this graphic a bit, but I think you can get the gist. If you have debt, just here's what it looks like. Again, 50% towards your needs. You're going to maximize what you can towards your debt, towards your credit card debt, medical debt, whatever it is. And then your wants, which is, I define, or the phrase that I've come up with is brunch, Amazon, and mischief. Whatever it is, you want to minimize the money that you're putting towards that. And the reason is because you want to get yourself out of debt as soon as possible. I think you'll find in what I coach, what I teach, I am a big proponent on getting yourself out of debt quickly. And the reason is because I think there's a certain feeling, an emotional feeling that you will have once you're out of debt, when you are not paying money towards somebody else or to somebody else. Um, this is what the breakdown looks like. Here is the order of attack. So we're going to start from the top and go down. You start with your needs or your four fundamentals. And what I'm trying to indicate here is that you will pay for your needs first. After that, come your debt payments. I've met with people, I've coached people, people in my class. Some of them have skipped a rent payment or gone hungry in order to pay for their credit card payments. And I think that I encourage you to take care of what you need first, then pay the debt that you owe on whatever it is, credit card and medical debt. I don't think that's unethical to follow that method. I think it is far more important to take care of yourself first. Then you can see again at the bottom, it is brunch, Amazon, mischief, your needs, or sorry, rather your wants. The idea is to not necessarily say, don't spend more than this, but rather just as much as you can to minimize towards that. Put as much money as you can towards your debt. So again, no debt payments before your four fundamentals or your needs. Maximize those debt payments. One way to maximize those debt payments, I know this may be controversial, it will be controversial, but it is to stop retirement contributions. This is one way to turbocharge your effort to getting yourself out of debt. Again, I think once you're out of debt, something happens to you emotionally. It creates momentum, it creates sustainability. It also creates extra money for you to throw at retirement once you are out of debt. So again, I encourage you to stop debt repayment, or sorry, retirement contributions. And if you can't stop it altogether or don't want to, at least consider reducing it. And then lastly, minimize those brunch, Amazon, mischief, allocation spending. Now, here we have the second version, the debt-free version, and you can see the breakdown, pretty straightforward. 50% towards needs, 20% towards savings, 30% towards wants. And you'll see here that the order of attack for this version is a little bit different. You have retirement savings first. That is where that's the old adage, pay yourself first. So that is money that goes towards your 401k, 403b, traditional IRA, Roth IRA. And once that money is taken out, then you attack your four fundamentals. And what you have left over goes towards your needs, or sorry, rather towards your wants. That's brunch, Amazon, and mischief. Here we have the practical steps for BYOB, build your own budget. I came up with that one. Thank you very much. But just a few tips and tricks, things to keep in mind. So for your first month, just create the budget at the beginning of the month. You're going to create 3 categories, whether you're doing the debt-free or have debt version, it's the same, 3 categories. Then within each of those 3 categories, just give an estimate of how much you're going to think or how much you think you're going to put towards each one. It doesn't have to be exact. Again, we're just trying to do ballpark. And then assign every incoming dollar to that category. That's that zero-based budget. So that in the end of all the money that's incoming, after you've earmarked those funds to the categories, you have 0 left over. You're going to then log each expense transaction on a daily basis. If you have one of these apps that helps you track this stuff, they will likely pull those transactions from your account so that it will make it easier for you to track in the app. This one is a little bit of common sense, but ensure that your outgoing does not exceed your incoming. Put in other words, that you're not spending more than you're earning. Lastly, do an end of the month audit where you look over and you see, all right, where can I improve? I need to allocate more money here. I'm spending too much here. I'm not spending enough here. Whatever it is, make adjustments that you will apply to the second month. And you'll see the recommendations I have for this month are similar to what I had for last month, where it is, again, just log your expenses, make sure that you're not spending more than you're making, and then conduct an audit again at the end of the month. And hopefully this time you're a little bit better than you were the first month, and that you're getting a little bit closer to the exact amount that you're spending on each category. For your third month, this is going to look very familiar. Same thing, going through the same steps, and this is how it's going to look from here on out. As long as you keep a budget, you're going to log your expenses. Maybe you don't need to do it on a daily basis, but you're just going to ensure that you're not spending more than you're earning. And then at the end, you're going to conduct an audit just to look over things and make any adjustments that you need. The longer you go, the better you'll get at this, and the more an accurate picture will emerge on where you're spending your money, where you can make changes. Now, here are just 3 of the apps that I'm familiar with. There are many, many out there, but for these 3, I know they're popular or well liked. Um, this is the cost per year for each one. My wife and I use everydollar.com. We love it. It's very easy to use. They pull in all the transactions. You just slot them into each category, each budget category. But these other ones work just as well too, and it doesn't matter which one you select as long as you are comfortable with it and it allows you to keep going. Okay, that is the end of the lesson, but if you need more help, if you have any questions, any comments, any criticism, feel free to email me. My address is right there. My email address is right there. If you want additional services, also, same thing, reach out to me. You can also just leave a comment below. And lastly, thank you. Thank you for listening to the video. I hope it was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel and come back to check for new videos in the future.